Flip phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
In every recruiting class, the players that are talked about the most, covered the most, or the players that are hyped up the most, are the ones that have the biggest offer sheet. They're the higher rated players, top 100, top 10 guys, 4 stars, 5 stars, the people that teams mostly want in their programs to be the future of their team. However, just because you're a 4-star or 5-star prospect, it doesn't always mean you're going to have the career that many people expect you to have coming out of high school, as you may have off the field issues, injuries that just ultimately make your career not go the way that was expected, or you just straight up don't have the production that many people thought you would have had coming out of high school in the ranking that you were given. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at 5 highly touted recruits coming out of high school that didn't necessarily live up to their ranking. Before I move on, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. The first player that I'm going to be talking about in today's video is current Northwestern quarterback Ryan Hilinski. Coming out of the 2019 recruiting class, Hilinski, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings, was a 4-star, number 64 player in the nation, and the number 2 pro-style quarterback. He held a total of 25 offers coming out of high school from schools such as South Carolina, Arizona, Arizona State, LSU, and Ohio State, just to name a few, and he would end up going to South Carolina. Hilinski, as a true freshman at South Carolina in 2019, would be a bigger of an impact player than he was expected to be, as he was primarily the starting quarterback for the Gamecocks the entire season. He appeared in 11 games where he completed 58% of his passes, threw for 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, with 2,357 passing yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. It's not the most mind-blowing season, but for being a true freshman starting quarterback in the SEC, first year, and your first year on the collegiate level at that, it definitely was something to be happy about and something to look forward to, as he did show potential. Going into 2020, Hilinski was expected to be the starting quarterback, but ultimately would be a backup the entire season. He appeared in 2 games where he only attempted 6 passes, and he completed 4 of them, throwing for a total of 34 yards. He would enter the transfer portal and transfer to Northwestern after the 2020 campaign. In his first year at Northwestern in 2021, not only did Northwestern struggle as a team, but Hilinski would struggle as a quarterback. In 9 games played, he completed 54% of his passes, threw for 978 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. And in this past 2022 campaign, a year where he was the starting quarterback heading in, and was starting quarterback for a good amount of the season when he was healthy, it wasn't any better at all. He completed 56% of his passes, threw for 1,644 yards, 6 touchdowns in the air compared to 7 interceptions, and Northwestern was one of the worst teams on the FBS level with a 1-11 record. Hilinski has one last chance with Northwestern in 2023, and his job is definitely on the hot seat right now as a starting quarterback, and it's going to be his last year to salvage his college football career and to really show up to that top 100 ranking. On to the next player. He comes from the 2019 class as well. This time it's Jaden Hazelwood. Jaden Hazelwood was a 5-star and the number 1 wide receiver in the class, and he would end up going to Oklahoma. As a true freshman in Oklahoma in 2019, he wouldn't be the main receiver, but he would still hold his own and have a pretty decent freshman campaign in a room that featured CeeDee Lamb as the lead guy. In that season, he had 19 receptions for 272 yards and 1 touchdown, and showed a lot of potential to be a future big-time target in that Sooners offense. Unfortunately for Jaden Hazelwood, in a year where he was expected to break out in 2020, he would tear his ACL right before the season and would redshirt that same year, as he appeared in 3 games, recorded 4 receptions for 65 yards. However, he was going to be fully healthy going into 2021, and this was the year that people expected him to break out. In 2021, Hazelwood would have a good season for the Sooners, as he led them in receptions and receiving touchdowns. However, because of how balanced that offense was with targets to every receiver, his numbers weren't as big as you may expect. He had 39 receptions, 399 yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. However, because of Lincoln Riley leaving to take the USC job, he would enter the portal and end up at Arkansas. In his one lone season at Arkansas in 2022, Hazelwood would have his best year of his college football career, recording 59 receptions through the air, 702 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns on the season. He would declare his name for the 2023 NFL Draft, where he is expected to be a day 3 to undrafted pick in this year's draft. In his college football career, he recorded 121 receptions for 1,438 yards and 10 career receiving touchdowns. Overall, I would say Hazelwood had quite the solid career and showed some potential and flashes throughout the entire point that showed why he was a number 1 receiver coming out of high school, but ultimately, I would say he didn't live up to the hype of being the number 1 receiver in 2019, and of course, that injury that he sustained in 2020 definitely may have not helped. I would still say his career was pretty solid, but number 1 receiver in the class solid, maybe not. On to the next player from the 2018 class. It is running back Ricky Slade. He was rated as a 5-star according to the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings and the number 1 all-purpose running back in that class. He held 26 offers from schools such as Penn State, Baylor, Clemson, just to name a few, and he would end up going to Penn State. As a true freshman for the Nittany Lions in 2018, Slade would be a backup running back who showed a lot of potential when he was in. He had 257 rushing yards on the season, averaging nearly 6 yards a carry, and had a total of 6 touchdowns on the ground. He was the starting running back heading into 2019 as a true sophomore, but would ultimately lose the job pretty early on, as he would finish the year with 47 rushing attempts for 214 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He would end up transferring to Old Dominion for the 2020 season. And because of the worldwide pandemic that happened in 2020, Old Dominion did not play in a single game for the 2020 college football season. So therefore, Ricky Slade did not play in any games. And in 2021, Ricky Slade would leave the Old Dominion program and has not played college football since. With this next player, he comes from the 2018 class, and it is Joey Gatewood. Gatewood was the number 1 athlete in the class, a top 50 player at number 49, and a 4-star recruit. He held a total of 34 offers coming out of high school from schools such as Auburn, Florida State, Alabama, Clemson, and Florida, just to name a few. He would end up going to Auburn. Gatewood would spend a total of 2 seasons at Auburn, including a redshirt year in 2018. As a quarterback for Auburn, he attempted a total of 8 passes, including for throwing for 54 yards in total, 2 touchdowns in the air compared to 0 interceptions, and a grand total of 176 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns as a backup quarterback. However, he wanted a better opportunity to be a starter, so he transferred to Kentucky for the 2020 season, where he was going to be in a quarterback competition with Will Levis. Just like Auburn, he would not win this quarterback competition and was a backup for Kentucky in 2020. In this season as a backup, he would play sparingly as he rushed for a total of 62 yards on 25 attempts, while throwing for a total of 109 passing yards, 0 interceptions, compared to 1 touchdown on 35 passing attempts. He would enter the portal for a second time in his career after 2020 with Kentucky and end up at UCF, where he would ultimately be a backup quarterback in 2021 and would even switch his position to receiver. He would have 142 rushing yards in 2021 along with 1 rushing touchdown, and would only attempt a total of 8 passes as a Golden Knight in 2021, completing 2 of them and throwing for 1 touchdown, having a grand total of 17 passing yards. In 2022 for UCF, he would make the switch to wide receiver full-time. However, he would record 0 stats, playing in 0 games. He's in the portal for a 3rd time as of right now, and is currently not on a team. For the final player in today's video, it comes from the 2016 class, was a top 10 player in the class. At number 10, a 5-star and the number 1 inside linebacker, it's none other than Ben Davis. Ben Davis had some very good offers coming out of high school with 24 total from schools such as Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, LSU, and Notre Dame, just to name a few, and he would end up going to Alabama. In his football career at Alabama, Ben Davis would be lost in the linebacker rotation, but would ultimately be a 2-time national champion as a member of the Crimson Tide football team. In his career at Alabama, he racked up a total of 7 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, and even a pass deflection. However, after the 2020 season, he would be a grad transfer to Texas for 2021. In his one lone season at Texas in 2021, Davis would have his best year of his college football career yet. However, he was still playing quite sparingly, as he had a total of 16 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. In the 2022 NFL Draft, Ben Davis would go undrafted. He is currently now playing in the XFL for the San Antonio Brahmas, where he's appeared in 6 games, starting in 2 of them, with a total of 11 tackles, 5 of which being solo. Well guys, if you made it this far in today's video, drop something down in the comment section below what videos you want to see in the future. And before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. B. Kelly out.